J.R. writes, in the fall of 1998, the sighting happened during the bow hunting season in Utah. I like to hunt the area because of the relative isolation and the numerous deer. I had been hiking around an area known for its springs. I did start out in a general direction, but wove around so much that I did not know exactly where I was at, so it would be hard for me to point out the exact spot on a map. First thing that I noticed was the absence of large game. It is usually a game highway in that part of the woods. As I was wandering, getting totally lost, I noticed a reeking smell and decided to scout out the source. I was curious if a hunter had lost or shot a deer or an elk during the hunt and wanted to see what it was. I would catch whiffs of the smell here and there, and it led me to some sort of a clearing. The area looked like a dried out pond. The grass was greener in this area compared to the woods, and the only area that had bright sunlight. I scanned the general area and nothing really caught my eye except for what I thought was a large tree stump almost in the middle of the pond, about 25 to 35 yards from where I was standing in the trees. As I was walking back up the slope, the smell hit me again, and it was coming from the pond area. I looked again and stared at what I thought was a tree stump. It was black, like it had been burned by lightning or fire. The shape was odd. It was roughly pear-shaped and contoured, no jagged edges like a broken piece of wood. It looked like a large person wrapped up in a dark shawl, sitting with their back to me. In this sitting position, it might have been about 4 feet tall. As I stared at it, I decided it was only a burnt tree stump that had weathered smooth edges. But as I watched, it listed to one side. It was then that I thought it might be black cow or a moose laying with his back to me. As I watched, it would shift back and forth like someone getting comfortable in their seat. I also noticed the grass in front of this thing moving as though it was being disturbed. It seemed very intent on what it was doing. I became scared at this point and hurried back up the slope after many wrong turns here and there, and I made my way back to camp about 4:30 p.m. The only other strange thing that happened was the large dog we always took camping and hunting was very jumpy and nervous, and would run off into the wood areas by our camp for no apparent reason, and would stare and fixate on the woods for very long periods of time. The reason I mention this is that this same dog has been on these trips numerous times and has never acted this way. Needless to say, we left at the crack of dawn the next morning and have not been back to the site since then.